Thanks for clicking on this video. Hopefully you have subscribed so you got a notification that I posted something new. You're probably like, oh my god, it's been several months since you posted something, and this is true. I'm going to try and do a lot better and post more consistent content. But if you are interested in following my story, please watch the previous videos that I've posted and subscribe. And you can also follow me on Instagram. So it's just my name, Sarita Braxton. It's SERITA BRAXTON. And you can like and comment there and do all the things that people do on the internet now. But today I would like to talk about something. I actually recorded a video for this before, and so many things have happened and I got sidetracked and I didn't post the video. So I thought I would just update it with some new content and some new conversations that I've been having. So as a Black woman living in Berlin, while Berlin is a pretty diverse city, especially for Germany, there's still not a lot of Black people here. Whenever I go to Black events, it's the same people, and we see each other and we're like, another one, huh? Another event. But with that means that when you're dating, which is my favorite thing to talk about. So like if you have any questions, comments, like come at me. I love talking about dating, especially in Berlin. There's not a lot of people to choose from. So for example, I met a girl randomly through a friend. She and I ended up taking a trip together to a festival because she told me about it. And she's like, yeah, how's dating going for you in Berlin? I'm like, oh, not great. You know, I met this guy. He's like being super shady. He's always ghosting me, but then he pops back up. And she's like, oh, is he German? I was like, yeah, he's German and Guatemalan. And she said his name because she too had met him on the same dating app and gone out with him. And he also ghosted her, which is a whole other thing. But you find here that your friends, whether you're Black, Asian, Spanish, like whatever it may be, you find that your same friends are being messaged by the same guys, approached by the same guys, going on dates with the same guys. And it becomes a bit challenging, and you sort of find yourself being a bit insecure about why it is that person is interested in dating you in particular, especially if they have a history of dating women who also look like you. On one hand, I think it's nice if you are dating outside of your race and that person has also dated someone of the same race, cultural background, whatever, gender, whatever it is that like makes you you. Like if they have had an experience with someone like you before, it's nice because then you feel like you don't have to educate them on everything. Because sometimes if you're dating someone, like for example, I can speak for myself, as a Black woman, if I date someone who's never dated a Black woman before, I become their guide, their teacher. Is this offensive? What does this mean? Like, how did your hair do that? And if I say this, is that rude? Like, I don't really want to educate a grown man, like, which is ideally what I would be dating. So if they have had ex-girlfriends who have done this for you, it's kind of nice. But then at the same time, you wonder, why are all of your ex-girlfriends Black? Why do they all look like me? So there is such a thing as fetishizing. So you are interested in someone not because you have a type. I mean, we all have types. And whether it's hair color, hairstyle, hair length, height, weight, fitness, like, okay, this is fair. I mean, I have a type for sure. I have several types depending on the day. But if you like someone just because they're Asian, or that's what you are looking for, like let's say I'm not using dating apps anymore. Thank you. No, thank you. But if you're just swiping and you're like, oh, an Asian person, like yes, not even really like taking too much time to look into anything else about them. You're just like, oh, they're Asian, let's get it. Same thing, like if they're Black, if they look Spanish, you know, like they look, in the US, you would have this thrown around a lot, exotic. And in Berlin, Black women are exotic because we're not the norm. You won't find necessarily a lot of us, unless you go to these like really bomb events and you see us everywhere and it's just like popping. But for the most part, if I go into a room, I'm more than likely the only Black person. Like maybe there's one other Black person. So when you're dating, it becomes a bit tough because guys will say things and it makes you uncomfortable. And you instantly don't want to think, okay, this guy's fetishizing me. But there are some times where like comments will keep coming up, and you'll think to yourself, why is this guy actually interested in me? For me, it hasn't always been, it's not the same guy, but I've had a lot of guys ask about my hair, go to touch it. And I wear my hair in different styles. If you watch any of my other videos, usually I have braids and I miss them sometimes, but now I'm wearing my hair natural. Sometimes it's straight and they're just like so confused. And sometimes it's genuine curiosity, which is totally fine. But sometimes it's like, I really like your hair when it's in an afro. I'm like, why? Because you want like this image of what you think a Black woman should look like, how they should talk. I had a guy, invited him over to watch a movie. I mean, we had a couple of dates, and then eventually we got to the home dates, and we watched a movie, and then afterwards he's like, oh yeah, I lived in LA. So people, they find out I'm from the US, and they tell me, oh, I've been here, I have a cousin here. So he said, yeah, I lived in LA. And I was like, oh yeah, I was telling him about the gangs, the Bloods and the Crips, and how if you're a Blood, you can't say anything that starts with C because that's your rival gang, and then vice versa for the Crips. And there was a clip on Insecure where their neighbor was in a gang, and he replaced like all the words that started with one letter with the other based on the rival gang. And I played him this clip. I'm like, it's so funny. Like, to me, it was like so enjoyable and so funny and like so real. And for this guy, he's like, oh my God, I've never heard of this. And then he looks at me and he says, can you talk ghetto? And I was like, okay, what is that? I'm sorry, can you say that one more time, just for the people in the back? He's like, yeah, can you talk ghetto, like the guy? And I was like, well, ghetto's not a language, first of all. And no, I can't. Because I'm not a caricature that like puts on my ghetto voice and starts like doing a little dance to entertain you. And he didn't understand why this was offensive. And I'm like, all right, you're a German guy and like you lived in LA, but like obviously you haven't had a lot of interactions with people of other races or cultures. And I tried to explain to him why it was rude and offensive. And he just continued to push back like, well, I didn't intend for it to be offensive, so I don't know why you're offended. This is also an issue. If you want to forte into dating people outside of your race or outside of a race or a culture or background that you're not familiar with or you're not from, if they are offended by something that you said, I would hope and appreciate that you do not negate their feelings. You may not understand it, you may not be coming from a negative place, but if someone says to you, hey, this is offensive, you probably shouldn't say this, then just take that pill and swallow it. Because there have been times where I don't know something about another culture, and generally I'm not quick to speak on it, but if someone says like, oh, that's not what we would say, that's not what we would do, that's not how we would ask that question, it's not the words that we would use, I would just take that information and use it for the future. I wouldn't be like, well, that's not what I intended, or I saw it on TV, so it must be true. That's not the way to go, especially if you want to make that person feel comfortable and make them feel like you respect them as a human being, as opposed to like, I want to date you because you're exotic. I've also had like some Asian friends who have men say super stereotypical stuff to them, like talking in other Asian languages that aren't theirs just because they learned it on some TV show or heard it somewhere. So I don't have the answers to how you determine whether you're fetishizing someone. I just think you gotta dig deep and try and understand why is it that you are interested in a particular type of person, and also be open to education about that person and their culture and where they come from and what they find appropriate and inappropriate. And also it's like quite tough because here you have Black women from Germany, you have Black women from multiple countries in Africa, you have Black women from France, from London, from wherever. And we're all Black, and I'm from the United States. But things that I find offensive, someone from London may not find offensive, or someone from France might not find offensive. So it's tough. I think going into the situation, being open, not projecting onto them an image of what you think they should be. Like, I've also had friends from South America, like guys are like, oh, because you're a Latina, you must have an attitude and you must be like really feisty, right? And this is not, we're not like TV characters. It's not a type. It's not, I'm not gonna talk ghetto for you, you know, like just tread lightly, I think. Be open, educate yourself. Honestly, like there's so much information in the world that you can access now. You could just Google, like, is this offensive? And something will come up from someone who wrote something. There will be some kind of Reddit thread or or talk to your friends. But yeah, things can get super uncomfortable, but I love everyone, loving everyone. But it's super, super, super important that you make that person feel comfortable and you don't put them in the stereotypes and like say rude, racist things, no matter your intention. So hopefully this rant, not too much a rant, I don't feel like I was ranting, this conversation, this one-sided conversation, stimulated some thoughts for you, or maybe you've had similar experiences, or maybe not, and maybe you have questions. But because it's just me talking to you through whatever device you're on, you can like rotate me. I really love to get comments. So please comment away. If you disagree, I mean, hopefully you don't. Or if you agree, or if you have questions about Berlin, it doesn't matter. I love seeing comments and like that someone has actually watched this. Yeah, so engage with me, and hopefully I will see you here soon for another edition of Conversations with Me. All right, thanks for watching.